So hello everyone, thank you for coming today. Today we'll be teaching you about how to identify research opportunities. To begin, let's introduce ourselves. So I'm Mene. I previously did research on hemp tissue culture, and I am a current undergraduate research ambassador. And as well, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Can everyone hear me? Mane, yeah, okay. So my name is Natalia. I'm also currently an undergraduate research ambassador, and my research mostly focuses on, currently I'm doing research on grapeberry moths and population genetics with salamanders.
Very nice. So to begin, okay, doesn't want to work. All right, so an overview of what we'll be talking about today. So first, we'll help you identify your research interests, and then we'll help you review existing research opportunities, and finally, we'll show you some ways on how to apply to existing positions. All right, so first, before looking at any research opportunities, you should first, figure out what you're interested in. I'm sure a lot of you already have an idea of what you're interested in. It possibly correlates with your career interests, like with your degrees. But a lot of you probably don't know what exactly you're interested in, especially because research can be very specific. It can be very broad. So to begin understanding what some of your interests are, you can talk to us. You can contact the Undergraduate Research and Fellowship Mentoring Office, and you can speak one-on-one with an undergraduate research ambassador. We provide one-on-one peer mentoring. You can schedule with us over Starfish, and we can help you with whatever step of finding research. Like, we can help you figure out what your interests are. We can help you look for specific opportunities, and we can help you apply to said opportunities. We can even help you like enhance existing research opportunities that you're already in. So another thing that you can do is you can talk to your academic advisor. So your academic advisor is going to be at your campus. So they're going to be more local, and they're going to have more information on local opportunities. So maybe talking to them, they can help you get an idea of what is available at your campus, what types of research, what topics, and they can help you connect with different faculty members who can, share more about what their research is and help you make a decision. You can also talk to your professors and TAs. This is a big one in my opinion, because your professors are teaching classes on topics that you're familiar with. So during these classes, you're getting a feel of what you like, what you don't like. And if there's a specific class that you really like and you're, go talk to the professor and see if they're currently doing research. And if they're not currently doing research, see if they know another faculty member that's doing similar research. So that's a great way to find local professors that are doing research. Another thing, talking to your peers and classmates. A lot of your peers might already be in various research opportunities across your campus, so they can give you advice on what they've done. They can give you, just share resources between each other. You can visit department websites. We'll talk a lot about that later, but depending on research varies a lot depending on your field. So visiting department websites can help you find opportunities that are specific to your field. And attending seminars such as this one and others that can help you, that can like show you different research topics, and just attending events and looking online. There's a bunch of different resources. We'll show you a few. Eventually you'll get a feel of what you like and what you don't like. Taking classes as well. So as I said, classes are your first step into topics that are going to interest you. So getting a feel of, like, I have a friend who's taking anthropology. It doesn't have a lot to do with her career, but it's a topic she's really interested in, and who knows, one day maybe she'll do some research in anthropology. Another big one is reading news. So there's a lot of journals and magazines that post publications of recent discoveries, recent research topics. Your libraries, your campus libraries are going to have a lot of resources when it comes to that. Reading current publications, that's a great way to get a feel of, you know, what's your field and what's going on in your field, like what discoveries are being made and such. And also your school newsletters also show you updates on current discoveries, specifically on local campuses. That's another big one to look out for. So yeah, as I said, research can look really different across fields. I'm personally more into biology, so when I look for research opportunities, they're all in person. Very, very few are remote. You know, there's a different skill set that comes with fields like that. Some remote opportunities are available for people who are maybe in mathematics or statistics or maybe even clinical research that does like a lot of surveys. That can be done remotely when you're working with like survey data and analyzing data. That obviously might take, you know, not as much of a big time commitment as working in a lab would or working in a hospital would. It's also very different skill sets. For remote work, you might need to know how to program. For lab work, you'll need to know different lab skills. So your research experiences are going to look very different. So just think about what's your time commitments, what are your existing skill sets, or what skill sets are you looking to improve, and you can decide whether you want to do in-person or remote research. Yeah. Time commitments are a big one, especially if you have to take into account commutes and such. So once you're able to identify your topic of interest, now you can begin looking for different opportunities that correspond with your interests. So where should you begin looking for these opportunities? You can start just by looking in your Penn State email. I know personally I get like newsletters and updates from my campus. My advisors might send me things. Those are great places to start looking for different opportunities, not just research opportunities, but a bunch of different on-campus opportunities. That's actually how I found out about undergraduate research ambassadors, was through my email. So make sure to look at your emails because sometimes they have really good information. You can visit websites. So the URFM website, which I'll post links and everything later. Those websites have great databases and great resources for finding different research. Also looking at like your department and your college websites, they're going to have more specific research that's specific to your field, to your career. And then we'll talk about different websites later. Yeah, look at bulletin boards on campus. That's a great place for different events or job openings. Maybe a professor is looking for students and they'll put something on the bulletin. So look out for those. Those are really big hotspots for information. Talking with your professors and TAs. For me, this is a big one. This is where a lot of my research opportunities have come from. You know, talking to your professors, because your professors are already going to be in fields that interest you because they're teaching you classes that are along the same lines as your career. So talk to them if they're not doing research, or if you're too shy to talk to them and you want to know if they do research, Google their name and see if they have any publications, see where their publications were, and then if they do have publications, maybe talk to them and say, like, see if they have a lab on campus or where they're doing research. And if they're not doing research, maybe they can direct you towards someone who is. Talking to your academic advisors, that's a big one as well. As I said, they're local, so they're going to have a lot more information about local opportunities. And talking with us as well, we're here to help you. This is our job. So if the website doesn't help you too much, you can do one-on-one advising, and we can help you one-on-one and help you really look for really good opportunities. So on the note of websites, we have some examples here. So this is the URFM website. This is our database. So through this link right here, I think we should, do you know if there's any way that we can send this PowerPoint out to everyone? Because I don't know. Okay, well, they have the links here. So if you want, take a screenshot. and you'll have the link. And through this link, like on the website, there's a database, and you can filter for your campus, you can filter for your, you know, interest, whether that's business, agriculture, architecture, whatever, health sciences. You can filter for it being credit or non-credit or paid or whatever. Also remote and on-campus, you can filter for all of those, and it'll give you a list of like different opportunities. Maybe your filters are too specific, so try to be more broad, and then this is an example of an opportunity that will come up. When you click on these opportunities, it'll give you further information. So it'll give you like a small summary. Here's another example. It'll give you like a summary of a research opportunity. You can click on it and it'll give you more information, like the campus, whether it's for credit, whether it's paid, the time commitment, and so forth. So that the URFM database is a great resource. Other than that, you know, just literally look up the words research opportunities for undergraduate students. This first lab is actually a professor that I personally know, and I didn't know he had an opening until I Googled it. So, you know, this is just Googling, finding names that are familiar on your campus, and then you can contact those professors, and Talia will tell you later how we'll go a little bit more into like how to contact professors, like cold emailing and such. Or if you don't want to cold email, you know, if they have an opening like this, just go ahead and apply for it. You know, you might not have this skill set, but since you're somebody they know, they might be more likely to give you a chance. So another one is, so for me, since I'm at Harrisburg, I don't know what campuses you guys are at, but if you have something similar near you, so I'm very close to the College of Medicine, and because of that, I have like a hotspot of researchers very near me. But this database is for researchers at all of Penn State. So this is the pure database. So you can filter, you can see all of the researchers. You can filter by the topic of the research, research outputs. So this is a database that you can filter, and it'll give you a literal list of all of the researchers at Penn State, or you can filter by category, and you can see like, okay, I want to see research specifically in like cardiology, and it'll give you like all the publications in cardiology, and you can track down the professors that did the research if it's of interest to you, and then you can contact them and see if, you know, so that's a really good database for looking for researchers. Another one, like for example, going back to, so this is like an example of the College of Medicine near me in Hershey. When you go to their website, they have an entire list of different undergraduate research internships, everything from like if you want to do like MD, PhD, summer exposure programs. This is if you're in Schreier's. There's Step Up, SURIP, undergraduate research internships. I think they had some clinical stuff here. I might be wrong. Even engineering sciences. So just look at like whatever institutions are near you, research institutions, go to their websites, and I'm sure they'll have a section for undergraduate research, and just see what interests you, see what applies to you. There's even programs for high school students that doesn't apply to us anymore, but if you have a younger sibling. And then, so these are examples of like different department websites. So I'm personally from the Eberly College of Science. They recommend doing RUs, which is something I did myself. Another thing is if you want to schedule advising, I think the URFM website is later on. But if you want to schedule advising and you go to the URFM website and you look at all of the ambassadors, it'll list the experiences that we've had and the campuses that we're at. So if you're at a specific campus, or if you're interested in a specific opportunity, such as a MCRU program, you know, you can talk with an ambassador that has already done that, or that is already at a campus, so that you can get more of like a personal interaction, because it's a little difficult to give advice across campuses or on a program that you haven't done. So, so you can kind of personalize that experience for you as well. But yeah, every department has its own website, every campus. So go to those different departments, go to those different campuses, and I mean, don't go to different campuses, go to your campus and look for the section on research, and they have a great opportunities. Like this MCRU program is really good. You get a stipend. It's a 10-week program over the summer. Your faculty member is also going to get funding for the research, and it's a really good experience. Like there's a symposium, you get to present a poster, so that's a very good experience if you're looking for one over the summer. These are other examples of different departments that you can look for. Some of them will even show research that they're doing right now. Like they won't show like programs or opportunities, but they'll show like current research. Others will show you like faculty members. Yeah, so these are like current research projects for the for the College of Information Sciences and Technology. Others will show you faculty that may be doing research. So you can like Google the faculty members, see if they're doing research, see if they have publications, and so forth. These are more examples. Another thing, my campus specifically, when you go to the research page, they have like news. So this is fun to like see what's going on at Penn State, what new discoveries are being made, and maybe Google the professor's name, see if they're local, see if, you know, this is research that interests you, then maybe ask them if they're looking for new students to help. So you know, look at your school resources. There's a bunch of news, see if it interests you, and you know, apply to opportunities. On my campus specifically, I'm pretty sure all campuses have this, but there's the Office of Research and Outreach. So this office specifically is there to help you look for opportunities and help you apply to those opportunities. So if you want something more local, I'm sure every campus has its own research and outreach office. So once you've identified a mentor, you should do some research on them before contacting them. So it's recommended, like Google the professor's name. If they're at an institution, you can look through that institution's website, like the College of Medicine, their list of researchers, they already have like all of their publications on that website. If it doesn't, then Google their name and read all of their publications. Get familiar with the work that they do, see if they require any skills that you already have, or if they, you know, are using techniques that you're not familiar with. See if their research really interests you. It's also worth seeing like how prolific their research is, like how often did they publish, the citations of their publications. Citations are going to show like how accredited they are in their field, that if like other researchers are also citing them. Google Scholar is a good resource for like finding publications. And make sure when you're doing research on mentors that, you know, make sure to record their name, record their position. Another thing is like, if you want to do, for example, an MD PhD, or if you want to do a PhD, you want a mentor that is going to have a similar degree to you because they can help advise you through your track. So personally, if I want to do like MD PhD, I want a mentor that is MD PhD because they're going to have more information on what I need to do to also go on that track. So especially if you want like a mentor that's long term, that's something else to take into account. Make sure to record their email addresses, write down what interests you about them, what their topic of research is. Write down if there's any skills that you have that they also need, or write down skills that they're using, techniques that they're using that you would like to learn. Write down what time commitments they're looking for. You might not know this unless they have like a job listing, but that's definitely a question to ask during your interview and such. And you know, ask yourself like, how much time am I willing to put into this research? Look at your schedule, see what days are going to work for you, and prepare yourself to communicate these things. And also take into account like how long you're willing to work on a project, or if you're actually willing on working on a full project, or if you just want to like get a feel for research. So these are all things to take into account. And I'll pass it on to Natalia, who will tell you how to apply for a position.
Hey guys, so I'm gonna start sharing my screen now, if that's okay with you, Monet. Okay, I'll do that. Oh my gosh, this is weird. Yeah, let's do this. Oh my gosh, I have to system preferences. Okay. Actually, Monet, if you could keep doing yours was trying to tell me that I needed to do some weird stuff. So, okay. So, next, what is going to happen now that you've understood like what you might be interested in with research, you're going to look and try to apply for a position with someone that you would be interested in researching in. So first, you're going to want to narrow down some of your options. So for example, you might come across a lot of professors or research opportunities that seem really interesting to you. But you want to, all research is good research, but I would say it's important to try, like, we can't do everything, you know? So I would say that it's very important to try and narrow it down to what would be most beneficial to you in your path, whatever that is. So you're going to want to narrow down your options to, you know, what is that professor researching currently? How does that affect your pathway? What are you doing? So, like, for example, for me, it was important for me to get research with vertebrates and like animals because I'm planning on applying for vet school later on. And so that would be more beneficial to me than, you know, a research opportunity that maybe did not include animals. So then you're going to want to look at the professor and see, okay, is this someone that I can see myself working with? So I would recommend, it's in my experience, it's a lot easier working with professors that you know them like a little bit at least, like you've either been in a class or you've had a friend that was in their class or you have some kind of understanding about them as a person, just because then you can know, you know, is this someone that is going to require a lot of time? Is this someone that is going to require a lot of communication? Or, you know, are they more of someone that I will be the one that have to reach out and I will be the one that has to kind of initiate some of that. So that's also something that you would want to consider. Basically their mentorship style. How well do you think you'll be able to work with that person? Because a lot of times, especially if you are planning on applying for grad school, research mentors are a great way to get a letter of recommendation. But to get a good letter of recommendation, you want to make sure that you are able to have a good relationship with that person. Then another thing, so what does their experience with mentorship look like? Have they mentored other people before you? Or is this kind of something that they would just be jumping into? Usually, I'd say most of the professors that you're going to encounter have mentored people before. Some, if they are newer, maybe have not had the experience, and that's just up to your personal preference of, are you comfortable working with someone that this may also be their first time mentoring? Or would you want someone a little more experienced so that you don't have to be doing as much of the work? So next, we can move on. So reach out. That's a really important thing. For me personally, almost every single time, with the exception of one time, every single time I've reached out to conduct research, I have always reached out with an email. Email is a great way to just get your name out there and start your interest. I would recommend sending multiple emails to multiple different professors and with multiple different research opportunities, because you never know, you know, some people might have an availability one time and then it gets filled quickly. So I'd say for the best chance of getting in there, like, you want to kind of cast a wide net. If you get multiple people responding back and saying, yes, like, I would like to do research with you, you can always politely say, oh, like, I'm sorry, you know, I got this opportunity that I accepted first. So you're going to want to start a short email, nothing too crazy. I mean, professors have a lot of things on their plates. The last thing they want is to be reading an entire book about you, and not that they don't care about you, but like, you know, keep it concise, keep it something that is more easily digestible that they can look at, understand quickly. So give specifics about, you know, a little bit about you and why you're interested in their specific research. Something that has worked for me is I've always gone onto the faculty page and looked at the way that they describe their research. And then I look at that and describe it similarly to them in my email, just so that they know that you have been preemptive and looked at what they're working on, and you also understand what that means. So just for example, if it were me, I would say, hi, Professor blank, I noticed that you were working on salamander research and population genetics. I would be really interested in working with you, as I'm planning to apply to vet school and I really want to gain experience um, with vertebrates. But also, like, make sure that you're showing your skills as well in this email. So you don't want this to be a relationship that only you are benefiting from. So you want to also be able to show them, this is what I'm good at, this is what I can do, this is how I can help you. So, for example, some things that I've done is I've said, I have had experience working with vertebrates in the past. I'm hardworking, dedicated, and I'm also experienced with handling animals and the basic safety around that. So that way, that gives something also that they can gain from me experience wise. Also, talk about the skills that you want to learn. I mean, especially if you are a first year, have not gotten into research yet, that's completely understandable if maybe you won't have skills yet that you would be able to use in your research. So in that case, I would tell them, this would be my first experience with research, but I'm eager to learn this, this, and this about how to help you best with your research. And then, yeah, just send the email. If you don't hear back in a while, I mean, professors especially are busy, so I wouldn't take it personally. And a lot of times they might even appreciate just a quick follow-up, like, hey, this is so and so. I had recently sent you an email regarding whatever research you were talking about, and then say, I haven't heard back yet, but I'm really excited to be able to work with you. You can reach me here when you get the chance. So just something quick, something easy. You don't want to be too demanding, but a lot of times professors are very nice and very understanding about wanting to work with students. So next we're going to show like an example cold email. This is basically an example of an email that you could send to someone that you're interested doing research with. So as you can see, they say, dear doctor, or whatever not everyone's a doctor. So it could also be professor is an easy one. If you want to be, I usually try to avoid Miss, Mrs., Mr., unless that's like specifically specified that you can refer to them that way. So when in doubt, just use professor. Introduce yourself, what your major is, what your interests are, and then introduce what you know about them and their research, which you can see there in the second paragraph. Talk about, how you think that you guys would be able to fit together. Talk about how, what kind of thing you are looking for, what your time schedule is, what your availability is, what your skills are. Basically, share something that you would be interested in doing. Don't overcommit and say, I would be okay doing anything, or I would be okay doing, this big project. Because at the end of the day, if then they give you a project that you're not able to do, that's frustrating for everyone involved. So just make sure that you know what you're interested in, know your availability, and tell them also how long you are wanting to be in research. So I know for me personally, I am an out-of-state student. So something that I have to communicate to my professors when I'm doing research with them is that during breaks or during the summer, I might not always be available to continue research with them. And so that's also something that is helpful for them to keep in mind. just how long you are intending to do that, because that can affect the project that they give you as well. Yeah, and then I would just do like a small call to action at the end. So I look forward to getting to meet you. I look forward to talking about this further. Let me know when you have a chance to talk about this further, etc. And then just this person said sincerely. You can also do thank you for your consideration or thank you for your time, and then just your name. So that's a good example of a cold email. You can take a picture of that or a screenshot if you want. You definitely don't have to. But after the email, if the professor follows back up with you, then usually you'll have what's considered technically an interview. You will be meeting with the professor. Usually, in my experience, it's not necessarily like a sit down, super formal kind of interview. It's usually that you're sitting there and you're basically just kind of feeling each other out, getting to know what the interests are, getting to know how you guys want to proceed and whether this is the right fit for both of you. So you're going to want to be on time, first of all, or maybe even a little bit early if possible. Polite, professional. They are your mentor, or they would be your mentor, but I would say even if you do have a closer relationship with this professor, try to keep it not necessarily formal, but try to keep it not too familiar, just because this is something that, you know, if you want a research opportunity, usually it's a little bit more of a serious endeavor. But if you are comfortable in your familiarity with the professor and you guys have that kind of relationship, then just go with your gut. So be open, be enthusiastic, show that you are interested in what they're talking about, ask questions. Especially asking questions is really important. So if there's ever something that they're going over that you don't necessarily understand, don't be afraid to ask them, can you explain that? Or what does that mean? That is really attractive to professors because it shows that not only are you there and you've expressed interest, but you also want to be able to understand exactly what's happening. Be specific, like it says, about why this opportunity in particular. Penn State, we are really lucky to have a good amount of undergraduate research opportunities. So be specific and say why this opportunity is in particular the best opportunity for you. And also maybe why you are the best fit for them. Read over their website project page if that's something that they pull up, or if it's something that you want to go over, and if you had any questions talking about, oh, can you talk to me more about this specific paper that you did? Can you talk to me more about what you meant when you said this particular thing? That is also really attractive to a professor because it shows that you've done your homework, and it shows that you are not just sitting there because you want to get something on your resume, but because you are there because you actually genuinely care about the research and you genuinely care about getting this kind of experience. And yeah, like I said again, so come with questions, come with answers too, because a lot of times professors will not test you, but they will ask questions to see how much you know and to gauge your interest level, your ability. So they might ask you, I know for me as well, I'm more in the biology field. And so I've had professors ask me when I'm talking to them about research, do you know what PCR is? Do you know what the techniques are for keeping a sterile lab environment? They ask these kinds of questions, and it's okay if you don't know the answer, but be honest about not knowing the answer. Make sure that you're not just, saying whatever just to pretend like you know what they're talking about. They want you to be able to learn, and it's a lot more, usually adults especially will respect more when you are able to say, no, I don't know that. Can you please explain it to me? And if you do know, great. That just shows that you're qualified for it. All right, so next we have something that you might also talk about in the interview. How many hours a week are you interested in working? What is your course load? I know for me personally, I have a little bit of time every day to work on research, but I don't have a ton of time just because I'm currently in OChem and physics and many other like higher workload classes. So that's something that I communicated to professors ahead of time and said, this is around the time that I will be able to come in each day. This is around the time that I'm able to give. And that is really just, that's just so that everyone understands everyone's schedule. They might have a project that is much more time intensive, that they need you to be in there every day, a certain amount of time every day to continue to work on this project. Or other times they have options that are less time intensive so that you can still get research experience even if you do have a heavy course load. And those are also really important to look for. Yeah, typically professors would look for 5 to 20 hours per week, depending on what you're working on. I know for me, in some of the Great Berry Moth research I'm doing currently, it's actually more like, it's kind of around like 30 minutes a day that I go in and I just make sure that they're fed and I switch out the grapes to put in their enclosure and write everything that I need to write down in a lab notebook. Some experiments are much more time intensive than that, and some are much less time intensive than that. So it's just important to have a sense of how much time you have, what you want, what you're willing to, what time you're willing to give. A lot of professors, if you're really set on working with one specific professor as well, a lot of them will have opportunities that are less time intensive, usually, in my experience. Yeah, also this is kind of goes back to what I was talking about how long you are wanting to do research. So a lot of mentors will hope for at least a 2 semester commitment. So they don't want they don't want their lab to be a revolving door, you know, like they want people to come in and learn and be there and help them over time. Because if you think about the energy that it would take to train one person to completion and then just have them leave after a month and then another person comes in and have to train them again, and a lot of professors simply don't have that amount of time. So also keep in mind, you know, how long is this something that I would want to do? How long is this something that I want to work towards? And that's why, like Mane was saying, it's very important to choose something that you are interested in, not just something that, you know, you think would be easy or you think would be convenient or anything like that, because keep in mind that you might have to be, most of the time you will be in this for the long haul. It's not a short process. Sometimes it could be, but in my experience, it's at least always 2 semesters, if not more. Yeah, so then kind of like we talked about certain topics you're most interested in, why those topics, let them know what your goals are. A lot of professors really want to know what your plans are after college or through college, because that helps them understand what project you might be best suited for. And also that helps them understand what skills are really important for you to learn. So for example, with me, with the salamander research, I told my professor that I'm really interested in going to vet school after undergrad. And so they are going to be training me in toe snipping. So basically cutting off one toe of the salamander to extract DNA, because that will help me gain rudimentary surgical skills that will be really useful in a grad school application. And they would not have known that if we had not discussed my future goals. And so it's just really important to let them know where you're at, what you want to do. That way they can best help you because they want to be able to help you. Yeah, what would you like to get out of this experience? Are you just looking for experience in research to say that you've done it? That's fine. Some people, that is their motivation, and there's nothing wrong with that. Are you looking for something to be a stepping stone to learning a skill that you are really interested in? So are you looking for something so that to look into because you're really interested in it, because you want to learn PCR, because you are hoping to be able to use PCR later in life? Are you looking for something to help you get into grad school? Are you looking for something to help? There's a lot of reasons why you could possibly want to do research. And I'm sure everyone has their own individual reason. But make sure that the professor knows that. That way, once again, they can best help you reach your goal. Yeah, so what are your current goals after undergrad? We kind of talked about that too. So, okay, here we go. What if I have to do research virtually? So personally, I can't really say that I have experience doing research virtually, but I do have some friends that have had done research virtually. And as you can imagine, it is a different experience than going in person and going into the lab. So, like we were kind of talking about before with the whole training thing, some mentors may not accept new students. And so even if maybe you are not on campus, they may still want to conduct research with you, and you might have to find a way to do that virtually. In that case, you may have to meet with mentors virtually. I mean, I'm pretty sure that we all have an understanding about how Zoom works since we're all on Zoom right now. So that might be something that you need to do. You'll need to learn how to read scholarly articles on your own, how to find sources that are reputable, and how to look at them and understand them without someone there in person to help you through it. That is a super important skill to be able to critically think about what you are reading in a scholarly article, and also how to find a scholarly article. So personally, my favorite sites are Google Scholar, obviously, and JSTOR. JSTOR you can access through Penn State, so it should be free. Yeah, conducting literature reviews to identify unanswered questions and developing hypotheses. So one of the professors that I am doing research with currently this semester, I will be doing a literature review. And the reason for that is because I'm not going to be staying at the campus that I'm staying at for the entire 4 years. And so in order to give me a research opportunity while still saving larger research opportunities for students that will be remaining on this campus, we'll be doing a lit review. So that's a great way to get experience in research while still, that's a much, like, you don't have to go in person to talk about that. That's something that you can research. You can use the Google Scholar and JSTOR to look at. For example, what my project will be is like, how does folic acid affect animals? Like, so how does a folic acid deficiency affect an animal embryo? So I literally could just type that question into JSTOR or into Google Scholar, see if anything comes up. If nothing comes up, I can search different keywords or anything. But that's a great opportunity if, for whatever reason, you are not able to go in person. Ask your professor about that, email them about that. Say, I can't come in person, but I would be really interested in doing a literature review on a topic if that is an option. Because once again, that way you still get the experience, but you don't necessarily have to have the same time commitment. Examining primary, secondary sources available online. Yep, so just make sure that you understand what you're reading, understand whether it is something that is reputable. Look at the date that it was published as well. Is this an older study? Is this a more recent study? Because a lot of times older studies, they might have newer versions of that same study, and that might be linked somewhere in the older study. Another thing that I found, sometimes I found one study that is really good for what I'm looking for, and they will have links within that study to other studies that they used in creating their study. So don't be afraid to really dive deep and look at those as well, because chances are, if that study is important to you and your research, the studies that they used will also be important to you and your research. So just make sure that you're looking at that too. Practice technical writing skills. That is also incredibly important. So I just recently submitted a grant. Um, it really depends on what field you're in, whether you're in science, math. There are even engineering research opportunities, but in each field, the writing requirements are going to be different. So, for example, writing a science paper is much different than writing a paper for a speech, or writing a paper for English, or writing an essay, or writing an engineering proposal. Those are all going to be very different styles. So, some of this research, like virtual research, you can really learn how to practice those skills. Um, look at other studies in your field and see how they compose their paper. Is there an abstract? Is there, how do they lay everything out? How do they talk? What jargon do they use? Really make sure that you're paying attention to that. What citing style do they use? That's also another really important thing, because there are so many different citing styles, and literally each discipline uses a different one, or sometimes they'll use multiple different ones. And so it's very important to know how to do that. And also, if you're doing any of this virtually, don't be afraid to email your professor and ask them for help, or ask them, hey, I'm looking at how to technically write this grant or write this literature review. Can you please share resources that might help me learn how to do this better? Or can you please share tips? Or because a lot of times they will be more than happy to help. They will know that this is maybe your first experience doing something like this. So don't be afraid to ask for help. They want to help you. Analyze pre-existing data. Can you look at a data table and understand what the results mean? That's a great skill to practice. Can you read someone else's paper and understand what the goal of their study was, what came out of it, what that means? Learning introductory skills, techniques for your field, so statistical analyses to analyze data. For example, I know in biology, a lot of introductory skills and techniques for us include, like I was talking about earlier, like PCR, polymerase chain reaction, or understanding how to look at genes through GEDmatch, or there are plenty of skills that are used very widely throughout fields. So, for example, in biology labs, I'm pretty sure PCR is used in almost every single one of them. So it's a very important skill to be able to learn. So that's also something that you can do virtually. You can look up videos on how to do that. You can research more about the technique so that you know that you understand what you're doing. Participate in regular project meetings and familiarize yourself with ongoing research. That's also a great way to be involved. If you find that, honestly, sometimes you even have to do a Google search and you can see, oh, this professor did a really similar study to what we're doing right now. You might be able to look at that and you can share that with your mentor, and then maybe you guys can actually connect and create something larger. That would be an awesome opportunity. But it's really important to keep up with what's happening, because new breakthroughs are kind of being made almost every day. And so there also could be things that could help you. There could be new ways of looking at things. I know, for example, also in my salamander research, we are working off of the study that a professor in New York created, because he identified which genomes to look at within the salamander to analyze the genetics. So that's also something you want to really be keeping up with, similar things that are going on in your field. So in summary, basically what you're going to want to do to get involved is identify your research interests, review existing projects that are out there, apply for a position, make sure that you choose the person that is right for you, and also meet with the URFM office. We all have our own advising hours that you can come and you can schedule and you can talk to us one-on-one if there's anything that we're interested in that you are also interested in. The URFM office has a ton of resources to be able to help you with any more of this. If any of this was confusing, please feel free to go look at the website and there will be tons of resources for you to look at. Yeah, so then the next slide, we have a meet with URFM. You can schedule an individual advising appointment with either the URFM staff or one of the undergraduate research ambassadors. There are a couple links for you to do that. Once again, I don't know if you guys were sent the PowerPoint. I can try and send a link in the chat, but either way, yeah, so it looks like Monet is copying the links and we'll be sharing them in the chat with you guys. So you guys can either screenshot that or go look at that if you want to. Yeah, so that is the URFM is an awesome opportunity and like a great tool for you guys to be able to look at. And I mean, you can just scroll through the website and you will find something that will help you. There's a ton of information there, and there's a ton of people that you can have meetings with that want to be able to help you with whatever you need. So then last slide. It's been a while, guys. Sorry about that. But we've got the email for career services. If you wanted to talk about them, if you're not maybe sure about where you want to go after college, or if you're looking for some internship opportunities or anything like that, ask career services. They will be able to help you. Even if you just want to update your resume, if you have research experience that you want to be able to fit into your resume, they can help you with that. Offers for research protections, the URFM email, and university libraries. The library is actually a really awesome resource. You can ask librarians, where certain books are to help you with your research. You never really know what you might find. You might find something really important. And stay in touch. That's a QR code. You can scan that if you like. And I'm pretty sure that that is everything. If you guys have any questions, please say something in the chat and we will do our best to answer. If there are no questions, then I hope you guys have a great day.